cannot focus exclusively on how a Hindu is being treated in this country when this is not a country which is exclusively of Hindus, when there are other people also. So automatically I'm bound to ask this question. Not only do I want to know how you're treating me, I want to know whether you're treating me at least at par with others. If it's an exclusively a Hindu country full of only Hindus, then the question of discrimination between religions does not arise. But equality and discrimination become relevant when there are others and you see that they're being treated differently. Whenever you speak of state control of temples, your mind immediately says, I need the state for security, I need the state for maintenance, I need the state for crowd management, I need the state to handle administrative issues. And therefore, I'm happy to tolerate the presence of the state in the temple as long as they don't touch my religion, as long as they don't touch my religious affairs. According to me, there can't be a more self-defeating distinction. The institution's management and administration is in the hands of a different entity altogether, which is dying to call itself a secular entity, doesn't want to call itself a Hindu entity. And a fundamentally secular entity is holding the reins of the administration of your religious institutions. And you're operating under the naive belief that they will control only secular aspects which won't have an impact on religious aspects. How is that even possible? If the money is in their hands, the ability and the power to appoint people to different positions is in their hands, your security is in their hands, how do you hope to have the freedom only with respect to religious affairs? How is that even possible? Not possible. So to assume that as long as the state gives me the commitment that it will not interfere with religious aspects of an institution, I am happy and therefore my religion is secure, impossible. Because what you believe are the secular aspects are the ones that give you the power to invest in the society. Money, if it is secular, is the one that gives you the ability to invest in your community. So how can that essential aspect be in the hands of the government? Citing lack of resources, which is the secular aspect which you've given to the government, he is saying, I can't give today's prasada, do whatever you want. I don't have the money to renovate. I don't have the money to maintain this library. I don't have the money to digitize this particular manuscript. I don't have the money to ensure that people do not come and do something that they're not supposed to in a temple in terms of security, employing CCTVs and whatnot. So this belief goes against dharmic principles because dharma and artha go hand in hand in dharmic philosophy. For fulfillment of dharma, you need artha. And therefore, if artha is in the hands of the state, which is the Rajya, how on earth do you think you have the freedom to fulfill your dharma? Not possible. So let us break this wall completely, which says religious and secular are two different things. No, that is the Christian mentality, that is Christian philosophy, that is not Hindu philosophy. Hindu philosophy effectively says dharma and artha go hand in hand. We realize that you need Lakshmi to run even an institution that is dedicated to Saraswati. We are very clear about that. We don't need to be embarrassed about the fact that you need money to run a religious institution. Hinduism does not celebrate poverty. They come from all walks of life. All of them may not be equally placed as far as their status is concerned. Therefore, the one place that they come must act as a leveler so that everybody is treated as one here. And therefore, facilities must be provided. Where will that money come from? So when someone tells you, why should a religious institution have so much money? Please ignore that person as a secular Hindu idiot because he doesn't know what he is talking about. Anyone who tells you that a religious institution must not have money because the moment it has money, it is corrupt, then thank you, let the state not collect taxes. Because the moment you contribute something by way of tax to the state, well, it is bound to become corrupt. If the institution belongs to the subsect, then the institution must be run by people who are in that particular subsect. Why is this point important? The Supreme Court has come out with a verdict saying when you issue tenders for shops surrounding a certain temple, apparently non-Hindus can apply for that particular tender because it is a secular activity. What has it got to do with religion? You see how this distinction works? The moment you separate the secular from the religious in the context of a religious institution, you are creating an anomaly because everything about a religious institution is religious, 100%. Why? Because I am interested in using the resources of my community only for my community is good and nobody else is good. I am entitled to make that particular statement. I don't need to prove my secular credentials with respect to a religious institution. If I can't be religious with respect to a religious institution, where will I be religious? I don't understand. Look at the stupidity of this position. This is the one place where I'm allowed to wear my religion on my sleeve. That should be a position. What is so wrong about this? As a consequence, what has happened is, despite the Shirur Math judgment clearly saying that the state does not have the power to take over a religious institution permanently, all it can do is to rectify mismanagement and get out of the particular institution and give it back to the community. For the last 60 years, at least since 1959, despite a Supreme Court judgment, state governments have taken the position that the judgment does not apply to standalone temples. And therefore, you have executive officers who have been appointed across the board, with or without reasons, in temples across the board in all the southern states, at least in Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, Telangana. The point I'm trying to make is even the Supreme Court's verdict has no value and its position has no value when it comes to the rights of the Hindu community. If the problem statement is that either the institution sometimes does not understand your position, or even if it happens to understand your position by some happy coincidence, the state is not willing to listen to the Supreme Court, then what are the options left to the Hindu community? I am posing this question to the community as a practicing lawyer, saying what are the options available to you if even the word of the highest constitutional court of the land has no value in the eyes of state governments? Scale of the problem there. Jewels are gone, gold is lost, Tirupati's money is dipped into like state coffers for building of flyovers, for building of institutions which have got nothing to do with Tirupati, that particular temple. So it's almost as if the temple is running that city and certain parts of the state.
They tell us that we are 8th-class citizens in our own country. Look, but luckily, fortunately for the time being at least, the court has stayed the construction of the shopping complex right outside the Arunachala temple, which is 1300 years old. Can you imagine if the state wanted to make a shopping complex, a gaudy, big shopping complex with 150 shops, 20 meters in front of Taj Mahal? What hell would have broken loose? In any case, my congratulations to my good friend and activist T.R. Ramesh. You know, he exemplifies the fluidity and vertical movement of the Varna system. He is a Brahmin like Adi Shankara, but now for the cause of Dharma, he has become Kshatriya and taken up the sword like Chhatrapati Shivaji. Good luck to him. Rahul, broadly, there are two issues here, and I'd like to read them briefly. Number one, the state control of Hindu temples and their property. Believe me, it is by far the largest, financially most damaging scam of independent India. And I'm choosing my words very carefully. Even using the petroleum sector as a cash cow pales in comparison to the loot and pillaging happening of Hindu temples in the name of secularism. I ask you, if the Congress can bring in a legislation to control Hindu temples in 1959, well, that still stands. Why can't the BJP bring in a legislation to override it and actually support the Supreme Court? Rahul, if you truly believe that religion should keep out of state, the corollary is also equally applicable, that the state should keep out of religion. But does it? Secularism is total separation of religion and state, total. Our state declares itself to be secular, but is shamelessly not so, controlling as it does Hindu places of worship. Governments of just 10 states control more than 110,000 temples. Tamil Nadu Temple Trusts own 478,000 acres of land. Tamil Nadu government alone controls 36,425 temples and 54 mutts. Billions in revenue. Is this secularism? Besides, these are the very people who until last month wanted to eradicate Sanatan Dharma. They are leeching money off it. Rahul, a Hindu temple, its income, its educational institutions are controlled by and interfered by the government. But those of a mosque or a church are not. Why? Only in India can you step aside and watch as the state appoints non-Hindus on boards that control Hindu temples. Only here will we remain silent as Hindu idols are stolen, temple property auctioned, a whole temple-driven ecosystem and way of life dismantled. Believe me, assault on temples has turned into an assault on Hinduism itself. Now, very briefly, point number two, because it's very connected. On this larger issue, why this is happening? This is happening because of selectivity and double standards when it comes to Hindu religious and ritualistic practices. In 2019, Rahul, the Tripura High Court banned animal sacrifice, even though it was centuries-old tradition of worshipping the 10 Mahavidyas. And also in keeping with the 1954 Shirur Mutt judgment that established the sanctity of an essential religious practice. But the judges would hear none of it. In 2014, Himachal Pradesh High Court banned the 600-year-old tradition of animal sacrifice during the Kullu Dasera. The question to be asked is, why should only the Hindu be prevented from conducting rituals? If the state is against animal sacrifice, and laudably so, then shouldn't be against all animal sacrifices conducted in the name of religion. But is that the case? Do the judges have the guts to ban halal, the ritual slaughter, wherein the incision must be deep, that it cuts the carotid artery and the trachea, the blood must be drained completely, this while the animal is still alive? Is that not animal cruelty that the judges would hear none of it? The head of the animal must be aligned to the Kaaba, and it is essential that Bismillah Rahman Rahim be uttered. Furthermore, only a Muslim can perform the slaughter. So according to the judges, this is not a ritual. Now the human pyramid height during Janmashtami has been capped to 20 feet. Anything above would apparently inflict harm to humans, said the judge. I want to ask him, during Muharram, thousands of Muslims openly inflict serious bodily harm to themselves and to others with whips laced with steel claws that stab deep into the devotee's flesh. Is that not inflicting harm? But do our milords have the guts to ban this ritual during Muharram? It is the same with banning crackers during Diwali, but allowing millions of tons of stubble to be burned during the same month, or millions of trees to be cut during Christmas, or allowing fireworks during New Year celebrations, because apparently only Diwali is increasing the carbon footprint and controlling the pollution. Rest are purifying the Rahul, 10 seconds. We are 8th class citizens. Accept it. Accept it.